The stars above Earth twisted and tore open like fabric ripping apart. Through the wound in space they came. Ship after ship after ship, each one larger than a city block, each one bristling with weapons that glowed with malevolent purple light. The Genkar Imperial Armada had arrived, and they brought death with them. Fleet Admiral Krathnor stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Talon, and gazed down at the blue marble of Earth with satisfaction. His scales rippled with anticipation as he studied the primitive world below. 47 star systems had fallen before him. This would be 48. "Scan results, Tactical Officer," Krathnor commanded, his voice a deep rumble that echoed through the bridge. "Sir, detecting minimal orbital defenses. Several hundred. Satellites most appear to be communication or observation platforms. No shield generators detected, no quantum weapons. Their technology level is disappointing." The tactical officer's mandibles clicked in what passed for Genkar laughter. Krathnor nodded. It was always the same. Primitive worlds thought they were alone in the universe until the Empire arrived. Then they learned the truth, usually moments before they died. Begin the bombardment. Target their major population centers first. Show them resistance is futile. On Earth, it was a Tuesday morning. People drank coffee, drove to work, and complained about traffic. Then the sky caught fire. The first kinetic strike hit Beijing. A tungsten rod the size of a telephone pole, accelerated to a fraction of light speed, struck with the force of a nuclear weapon. The city center simply ceased to exist, replaced by a crater glowing with heat. Within minutes, Moscow followed. Then New York, London, Tokyo, Mumbai. One by one, the great cities of Earth burned under weapons they had no defense against. Fighter jets scrambled from bases around the world. Brave pilots pushed their aircraft to maximum speed, launching missiles at the ships hanging in the sky like metal moons. The missiles exploded harmlessly against Genkar shields, barely noticed by the invaders. At the United Nations building in Geneva, what was left of it, the Secretary-General broadcast humanity's surrender. The message played on repeat, transmitted on every frequency humanity knew. "We surrender. Please cease fire. We surrender." The Genkar didn't respond. They rarely did. Surrender was expected, not negotiated. By nightfall on that first day, 73 major cities had been reduced to rubble. Casualty estimates reached into the hundreds of millions. Power grids collapsed. Communication networks went dark. Governments tried to maintain order, but how do you govern when your capital is a smoking crater? Krathnor watched the destruction with professional detachment. This was efficient work. His ground commanders reported ready to deploy occupation forces. The orbital bombardment platforms held position, ready to strike any pocket of resistance that might emerge. "Deploy ground forces to all major continents," Krathnor ordered. "Begin cataloging the survivors and planetary resources. This world is now property of the Genkar Empire." Landing craft descended through the smoke-filled skies, carrying thousands of Genkar soldiers. They wore powered armor that made them 3 meters tall, equipped with plasma rifles that could melt through steel. They expected terrified survivors, maybe a few desperate attacks from whoever remained. The first units landed in what had been Paris. The city was mostly intact, spared from the initial bombardment. Citizens should have been fleeing, hiding, weeping. Instead, the streets were empty, unnaturally empty. "Central, this is Ground Team 7. City appears abandoned. No contacts. Proceeding to government buildings." Similar reports came from London, Berlin, Rome. Empty streets, abandoned vehicles, no bodies, no survivors. It was as if entire populations had simply vanished. In a bunker 3 kilometers beneath Cheyenne Mountain in Colorado, red lights began to flash. Automated systems, dormant for 82 years, powered up. Hydraulic locks that had been sealed since the signing of the Terran Peace Accord released with hisses of ancient pressure. Computer systems booted, running through diagnostic checks. Cryopods, thousands of them arranged in massive underground halls, began their wake cycles. Inside each pod, frost gathered on glass as warming systems activated. Vital signs monitors changed from flat lines to steady pulses. Similar activations occurred beneath the Ural Mountains, under the Antarctic ice, in facilities hidden in the Australian outback, the Amazon rainforest, the Sahara Desert, places that didn't appear on any civilian map, that most of Earth's population never knew existed. Deep in these vaults, humanity's true face began to wake up. Crathnor reviewed the day's reports with satisfaction. Resistance had been non-existent. Casualty projections among his forces, 0. This was perhaps the easiest conquest in the Empire's history. He drafted his report to the Imperial Council, recommending Earth be designated a Class C agricultural world. The survivors would make adequate workers once they were properly subdued. He retired to his quarters, confident the war was over before it had truly begun. Above the ruined Earth, the Genkar fleet settled into standard occupation formation, their crews celebrating another victory, another world added to the Empire's ever-growing territory. None of them noticed the seismic sensors registering activity deep underground. None of them detected the encrypted burst transmissions bouncing between hidden facilities. None of them understood that they hadn't conquered humanity. They had simply rung the dinner bell. 3 days after the invasion began, Fleet Admiral Crathnor received his first concerning report. Ground Team 12, deployed to explore the ruins of New York City, had missed their scheduled check-in. Then Ground Team 15 went silent. Then Ground Team 23. Explain this, Crathnor demanded, his tail lashing in agitation. Where are my soldiers? The communications officer looked nervous, his scales pale. Sir, last transmission from Ground Team 12 reported entering a subway system to search for survivors. After that, nothing. We're detecting no life signs, no armor beacons, nothing. Send a recovery team. Double strength. And keep sensors active. The recovery team found Ground Team 12. What was left of them? The scene made even battle-hardened Genkar soldiers sick. Bodies scattered across the tunnel, armor torn open from the inside as if something had pulled them apart. Weapons still in their holsters, as if they'd never had time to draw them. Blood painted the tunnel walls in strange patterns. Strangest of all, carved into the tunnel wall in crude letters. Welcome to Earth. Similar reports came from other cities. Shanghai, Cairo, São Paulo. Genkar forces went in and didn't come out. Those who did return spoke of movements in the shadows, of attacks so fast their armor cameras couldn't capture them, of humans who shouldn't exist. Impossible, Crathnor said, reviewing combat footage. Our initial scans showed this species barely capable of spaceflight. They have no enhancement technology, no genetic modification, no cybernetics. Sir, the intelligence officer said carefully, we scanned the surface population, but these attacks are coming from below, deep below. Then send forces underground, clear them out. The order was easier given than executed. Genkar soldiers found themselves fighting in darkness, in tunnels too small for their armor against an enemy they couldn't see. Ambushes came from every direction. Human fighters appeared, killed, and vanished like ghosts. They used Genkar weapons better than Genkar soldiers, sometimes picking up dropped plasma rifles and using them before the previous owner had finished dying. In Geneva, in a facility marked on old maps as Vault 7, Colonel Saracen opened her eyes for the first time in 82 years. The cryopod released her with a hiss of steam. She stood, naked and dripping with nutrient fluid, and immediately began running diagnostics on her enhanced body. Bone density, optimal. Muscle augmentation, active. Neural implants online. Reflex enhancement, functional. Combat drug dispensers, loaded. Around her, thousands of other pods were opening. Men and women, all enhanced, all trained since childhood for one purpose. War. Not the pretend conflicts Earth's civilian population knew about, but real war. The kind that ended civilizations. Chen pulled on her combat suit, a marvel of nano-weave armor that could stop plasma fire and repair itself. She accessed the tactical network with a thought. Her neural implant connecting to the military grid. Data flooded her consciousness. Invasion force composition, orbital positions, enemy capabilities, casualty reports. She smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. Alpha Company report status, she said, her voice broadcast through the facility. Alpha Company, ready. 10,000 voices responded as one. Equipment check. We have hostiles on our planet, people. Let's remind the galaxy why we were put in timeout. The soldiers laughed. It was a sound that would have made Crathnor very nervous if he'd heard it. It was the laughter of wolves spotting sheep. Chen pulled up the invasion timeline. 3 days since initial contact. Acceptable. The civilian population had been successfully evacuated through the tunnels as planned, hidden in deep shelters while the surface burned. The Genkar thought they'd annihilated humanity. They'd actually just destroyed the retirement homes. All units listen up, Chen broadcast to every awakening vault across the planet. Rules of engagement are simple. These invaders broke the Terran peace accord. That means the restrictions are lifted. All of them. Use whatever force necessary. Show no mercy to those who showed none to our civilians. She paused, checking her weapons charge. And someone please tell me we still have the good ammunition stockpiled. I really want to use the fun stuff. Confirmation signals flooded back. Armories were opening across the planet. Weapons that hadn't been fired in decades. That had been sealed away when humanity promised to be peaceful. Railguns, plasma cutters, molecular disruptors, gravity hammers. Weapons banned by 17 different galactic treaties. Weapons humanity had promised never to use again. Above ground in the ruins of Chicago, a Genkar patrol stopped suddenly. Their sensors picked up movement. Lots of movement. Coming from underground, the street buckled and exploded. Through the hole came humans, but not like any the Genkar had seen. These moved with inhuman speed, wearing armor that seemed to drink in light. Before the Genkar could raise weapons, the humans were among them. It wasn't a battle. It was a butchery. One human caught a Genkar's plasma bolt with her bare hand, the energy dissipating against her shield generator. She crushed the Genkar's helmet with casual strength. Another human moved so fast he appeared to teleport, his blade cutting through powered armor like it was paper. The entire patrol was dead in under a minute. The humans stood among the bodies, breathing easily, checking their weapons. One of them, a young man with cold eyes, looked up at the Genkar ships hanging in the sky. Phase 1 complete, he said into his comm. Chicago is ours again. Across the planet, the counterattack had begun. Krathnor stared at the tactical display in disbelief. Red markers appeared across the planet's surface, each one representing a location where his forces had been attacked. In the last 6 hours, he'd lost more soldiers than in the entire previous campaign against the Rex Collective. How? He demanded. Our initial scans showed a primitive species. No military enhancement. No advanced weapons. Where did these fighters come from? His intelligence officer pulled up old data, information retrieved from captured human computer systems. Sir, I think we made a mistake. We scanned their surface population, but there are references here to something called the Vault Protocol, deep underground facilities. And sir, these date back over 2,000 years. Krathnor felt something he hadn't experienced in decades. Fear. In the ruins of Chicago, Colonel Sarah Chen stood in what had been Grant Park, now a command center. Around her, holographic displays showed the tactical situation across North America. Green markers showed human-controlled territory. Red markers showed Genkar positions. The map was rapidly turning green. Status report, Chen said, sipping coffee from an ancient thermos. Even enhanced soldiers appreciated good coffee. Chicago secure. Milwaukee and Detroit liberated. We're pushing toward Cleveland and Indianapolis. Resistance is crumbling. The aliens fight like they've never faced peer opponents. Captain James Walker grinned. It's almost disappointing, Chen nodded. The Genkar were trained for occupying defeated populations, not fighting enhanced super soldiers. Every engagement ended the same way. Genkar forces would take defensive positions, and human strike teams would dismantle them with brutal efficiency. What about the other continents? Chen asked. Europe is ahead of schedule. Colonel Petrov took Moscow back in 4 hours. Asia is moving slower. More alien ships landed there, but General Liu reports steady progress. Africa, South America, Australia all showing similar success rates. Good. Phase 2? Walker's grin widened. Ready when you are. Chief Engineer Webb is in position. 16 hours earlier, Chief Engineer Marcus Webb had led his team through the Chicago River, using old smuggling tunnels that the Genkar didn't know existed. Their objective? A Genkar heavy cruiser that had landed near O'Hare Airport for repairs. Webb was 53 years old, enhanced at age 15, veteran of the Titan Rebellion and the Venus Ice Wars. Before the peace accord, he'd been called the Phantom, because enemy ships would simply stop working when he was near. He hadn't lost his touch, His team moved through the cruiser like they owned it, which they would shortly. Genkar guards died silently, dragged into shadows, necks snapped by hands strong enough to bend steel. Webb bypassed the ship's security systems with ease. Genkar encryption was sophisticated, but humanity had been breaking code since ancient Rome. Within 2 hours, Webb sat in the cruiser's engine room, surrounded by alien technology. He understood none of it specifically, but he understood all machines fundamentally. Energy goes in, energy comes out, and there's always a way to make things go wrong. He placed his charges carefully, then accessed the ship's navigation system. A few commands routed through backdoors he'd created, and the ship was his. Colonel Chen, this is Webb. Packages wrapped and ready for delivery. Chen smiled. Excellent. Proceed with Phase 2. Webb activated his charges. They weren't designed to destroy, but to disable. The cruiser's shields collapsed. Its weapons went offline. Its engines sputtered and died. And most importantly, its communications array lit up like a Christmas tree, broadcasting every encrypted channel the Genkar used. We're in their network, Webb reported, downloading everything. Fleet positions, command codes, tactical doctrine, supply routes. It's all here. Can you hack their flagship? Chen asked. Webb laughed. Already done. Want me to play a message? Do it. Aboard the Eternal Talon, Krathnor's bridge suddenly went dark. Emergency lights flickered on. Every screen displayed the same image. A human woman in black armor, her eyes cold and hard. Hello, Admiral, Colonel Chen said through his own screens. Allow me to introduce myself. I'm Colonel Sarah Chen, Terran Defense Force, currently liberating our planet from your occupation. I wanted to clarify something because you seem confused. She leaned forward. You didn't conquer Earth, you attacked a retirement colony. The people you killed were civilians. Old soldiers living in peace, trying to enjoy their final years. Their children, their grandchildren, people who never hurt anyone. Chen's voice grew colder. The soldiers are down here, Admiral. We've been sleeping, waiting, hoping we'd never be needed again. You woke us up. That was your first mistake. Behind her, the camera panned to show thousands of enhanced soldiers preparing for deployment, checking weapons, loading into transport vehicles. Your second mistake was thinking you could win. See, we've been studying your tactics from captured soldiers. Standard Imperial doctrine proven across 47 worlds. Very effective against civilians and primitive militaries. Chen smiled. Completely inadequate against us. You're receiving this broadcast from your own cruiser through your encrypted channels, using codes we extracted from your network. We own your communications now. We know where every ship is, where every patrol moves, what supplies you need, and when you need them. Chen stood. I'm offering you one chance, Admiral. Withdraw your forces immediately. Leave our system. Never come back, or stay, and learn why humanity was restricted to one planet, why we signed treaties limiting our technology, why the galaxy was so afraid of us that they paid us to stay home. You have 6 hours to decide. After that, we're coming for your ships, all of them. The transmission ended. Bridge lights returned to normal. Krathnor's crew stared at him, waiting for orders. For the first time in his military career, Fleet Admiral Krathnor had no idea what to do. He'd conquered 47 worlds. He'd fought the Vrex, the Torgan Empire, the Crystal Collectives. He'd won every battle, destroyed every enemy, but he'd never fought humans before. Real humans. Enhanced, trained, veteran humans who treated warfare like art. Sir? His tactical officer prompted. Your orders? Krathnor looked at the planet below, where thousands of his soldiers were dying, where his cruiser had been captured without firing a shot, where an enemy he'd thought defeated was hunting his forces with terrifying efficiency. Contact the Imperial Council, he said quietly. Tell them we have a problem. Fleet Admiral Krathnor sat in what humans called a conference room, though it felt more like a cell. His armor had been removed, his weapons taken, his pride shattered. Around him sat his senior officers, all captured in the last 48 hours, all wearing the same expression of stunned defeat. Across the table sat Colonel Sarah Chen, now clean and wearing a formal uniform that looked bizarrely normal compared to her combat armor. She sipped tea from a delicate cup, completely at ease. I suppose you want an explanation, Chen said. Yes, Krathnor managed. His translator struggled with human languages, but he understood well enough. Chen set down her tea. 2,000 years ago, humanity nearly destroyed itself. We called it the Gene Wars. Fought across 20 colony worlds using weapons that make your kinetic strikes look gentle. Enhanced soldiers versus enhanced soldiers, each side trying to create the perfect warrior. Billions died. She pulled up a holographic display showing planets, some reduced to lifeless rocks. We won eventually. All factions united under one government. But we had a problem. We'd created an entire generation of soldiers who knew nothing but war. Men and women enhanced from childhood, trained to kill, too dangerous to just release into society. Crathnor listened, his mind racing to understand. So we made a deal, Chen continued. Earth would become a sanctuary world, a retirement colony. Enhanced soldiers would be decommissioned, weapons stockpiled and sealed. Military technology would be restricted. We'd live as normally as possible as civilians trying to be more than just warriors. She stood and walked to the window. Outside, the ruins of Geneva were already being rebuilt by engineering corps that worked at superhuman speed. The people you killed in your bombardment? They were veterans, Admiral. Old soldiers living in peace. Farmers who'd once piloted assault mechs. Teachers who'd been special forces. Doctors who'd commanded fleets. They'd put away their weapons, raised families, tried to forget the wars. Chen turned back to face him, her eyes hard. Their children were civilians. Pure civilians, no enhancements, no training. Normal humans trying to live normal lives. That was the deal. One peaceful world where we could be more than killers. The vaults? Crathnor asked. Insurance, Chen said. Not everyone could retire. Some enhancements are permanent. Some soldiers were too dangerous, too damaged by war to ever be normal. So we put them in cryosleep, deep underground, sealed away with orders to wake only if Earth was threatened. She smiled without humor. You threatened Earth, Admiral. Chen activated another display showing star maps. See, the galaxy knows about us. Your Imperial Council certainly does, even if you don't. There are treaties. The Concordat of Sirius signed 800 years ago. The Vega Accords 600 years old, all saying the same thing. Humanity stays in Sol system. Humanity restricts military technology. Humanity remains peaceful. In exchange, we're left alone. The galaxy pays us reparations from the old wars, supplies us with trade goods, and everyone pretends we're just another species. Everyone ignores that we once conquered 30 systems in less than a decade. Crathnor felt his blood run cold. You conquered 30 systems? 33 technically, Chen corrected. Before we stopped. Before we realized we were becoming monsters. Before we chose peace. She sat back down, her expression serious. You broke the treaties, Admiral. By attacking Earth, by killing civilians on a protected world, you violated 17 different accords. That means the restrictions are lifted. We're legally allowed to respond with full military force. Your empire didn't know this? Crathnor asked weakly. Oh, they knew. Your emperor knew. Your council knew. You didn't know because you're just a fleet admiral. Expendable. They sent you to test us to see if we were still dangerous after 2,000 years of peace. Chen leaned forward. We are. Turns out you don't forget how to wage war. You just get better at it with age. Outside, Crathnor could hear strange sounds. Heavy machinery moving. The whine of engines. Through the window he saw them. Shipyards emerging from beneath the lunar surface. Construction facilities hidden in craters now revealed, where vessels far larger than anything in the Genkar fleet were being assembled. Those are dreadnoughts, Chen said, following his gaze. We designed them 1,500 years ago. Never built them because the treaties forbade it. But we kept the plans, kept the technology, just in case. She pulled up another display showing mining operations in the asteroid belt, research stations around Jupiter, military installations across the solar system, all of it hidden, all of it waiting. Earth was never our homeworld, Admiral. Earth was our prison. A comfortable prison we chose for ourselves, but a prison nonetheless. The real human civilization is out there. She gestured to the display. Mining colonies on Ceres, research facilities on Europa, military academies on Titan, all classified, all restricted, all waiting for the day someone was stupid enough to wake us up. Crathnor felt something break inside him. His entire understanding of the universe had been wrong. Humanity wasn't a primitive species. They were a sleeping predator, and he'd poked them with a stick. What happens now? He asked. Now? Chen stood. Now I send you home. You'll carry our message to your council. Full withdrawal from Sol system. Reparations for the cities you destroyed. Formal recognition that the treaties are void and human military sovereignty is restored. And if we refuse? Chen's smile was terrifying. Then we remind the galaxy why those treaties existed in the first place. Why 47 different species paid us to stay home. Why the most powerful civilizations in the galaxy were so afraid of one small species that they surrounded our system with warning beacons. She walked to the door, then paused. Oh, and Admiral, those 47 systems you conquered? 12 of them used to be ours. We gave them up in the peace treaties. The locals remember. They remember human governance. Some of them actually miss it. You're saying we conquered your former territory? I'm saying you picked a fight with a retired champion, Admiral. And now you're going to explain to your empire why that was a bad idea. The door closed behind Chen, leaving Krathnor alone with his officers and the crushing weight of their failure. Through the window, he watched human ships launching from hidden bases, watched construction crews rebuilding cities at impossible speed, watched an entire civilization shrugging off 2,000 years of forced retirement. The Genkar had thought they were invading a weak, primitive world. Instead, they'd broken the seal on a box that the entire galaxy had paid to keep closed. Now that box was open, and humanity was climbing out. 3 months after the invasion began, Fleet Admiral Krathnor stood before the Imperial Council in the Grand Chamber of the Genkar homeworld. His scales had lost their luster. His tail dragged behind him. He looked like he'd aged a decade. Explain, the Emperor commanded, his voice echoing through the chamber, how you lost an entire armada to a single primitive world. Krathnor activated the holographic display. It showed Earth, Sol system, and the human forces that now controlled it. The council members shifted uncomfortably as they saw the numbers. They were never primitive, Your Majesty. We were deceived. All of us, he showed them the footage. Enhanced humans moving faster than Genkar sensors could track. Weapons that tore through Imperial armor like it didn't exist. Ships emerging from hidden lunar bases. Vessels that outmatched anything the Empire had ever built. This is the species you assured us was safely contained, one council member accused. The species you said posed no threat. They posed no threat as long as we left them alone, another council member said quietly. This was Councillor Vexnar, oldest member of the council who'd been alive when the treaties were signed. The humans kept their word for 2,000 years. We broke ours. The Emperor's eyes narrowed. Explain. Vexnar stood, his ancient frame steady. 800 years ago, humanity conquered 33 star systems in less than a decade. They didn't conquer through diplomacy or economics. They conquered through overwhelming military force. Species that had ruled the galaxy for millennia fell before them in months. He pulled up old records, some in languages few council members could read. The humans fought wars we couldn't imagine. Enhanced soldiers who treated death as an inconvenience. Ships that could rebuild themselves mid-battle. Weapons that violated what we thought were laws of physics. They were going to take over the entire galaxy. Nothing could stop them. So the galaxy made them an offer. Stay in your system, restrict your technology, live peacefully. In exchange, we'll pay you reparations, provide trade, and leave you alone. Vexnar looked at the Emperor directly. They accepted. Not because we beat them, but because they were tired of war, tired of what they'd become. They chose peace, Your Majesty. They chose it for 2,000 years. Until we attacked them, the Emperor said slowly. Until we attacked them, Vexnar confirmed. The council chamber fell silent. Outside, through the massive windows, they could see Genkar's 3 moons. Beautiful, peaceful. They'd been peaceful for 600 years, ever since the Empire unified the home system. Krathnor continued his report. Human forces retook Earth in 48 hours. They captured 17 of our ships, destroyed 32 more, and forced the retreat of the remainder. Our casualties exceed 80% of deployed forces. He pulled up new images. They're rebuilding their cities using technology we don't understand. Construction crews work at speeds that should be impossible. Buildings that took us years to destroy are being rebuilt in weeks. More images. Human ships patrolling Sol System's edge, bristling with weapons. Mining operations in the asteroid belt expanded tenfold. Shipyards around Jupiter, constructing vessels that dwarfed Imperial dreadnoughts. They're not returning to peace, Your Majesty. They're preparing for war. Have they attacked beyond their system? The Emperor asked. No, but they've sent messages to all neighboring species, reminding them of the old treaties, reminding them who humans are. Several species have already responded with alliance offers. Councillor Vexnar spoke again. The species in our conquered territories The ones that used to be human colonies, they remember human rule. Some are already requesting human protection, requesting freedom from the Empire. The Emperor stood, his massive frame dominating the chamber. What are humanity's terms? Krathnor pulled up the document. Complete withdrawal from Sol system. Reparations for destroyed cities, calculated at 47 trillion Imperial credits. Formal recognition of human military sovereignty and void status of all restriction treaties. And most importantly, they want the 12 systems that used to be theirs returned. Unacceptable, one council member declared. We'll mobilize the full Imperial fleet. Crush them before they can expand. We tried that, Krathnor said tiredly. We sent 3,000 ships. We lost most of them. The humans have shown us their capabilities. They're holding back, testing us, learning our tactics. If we attack again, they'll be ready, and they'll win. Vexnar pulled up more data. I've analyzed human military doctrine from the old wars. They don't just defeat enemies, they annihilate them. Every species that fought them either submitted completely or was erased. The humans learned mercy and restraint over 2,000 years of peace. But if we push them, they'll remember what they used to be. Then what do you suggest? The Emperor demanded. Accept their terms, Vexnar said. All of them. Pay the reparations. Return the systems. And pray they don't decide to expand further. The council erupted in argument. Some demanded war. Others counseled caution. The debate raged for hours. Finally, the Emperor raised his hand for silence. We will accept their terms. All of them. Krathnor, you will return to Sol system as our ambassador. You will deliver our acceptance and negotiate the details. He looked at his council, his expression grave. And then we will send messages to every species in the galaxy. Warning them that humanity has returned to the stars and they are no longer bound by the old restrictions. Will they listen? Someone asked. Some will, the Emperor said. Some won't. Those that don't will learn the same lesson we did. 2 weeks later, Krathnor stood in the rebuilt UN headquarters in Geneva. Across from him sat Colonel Sarah Chen, now promoted to general. Between them lay the treaty documents. Your empire accepts all terms? Chen asked. Yes. Full withdrawal, reparations, return of territories, recognition of sovereignty. Everything. Chen nodded. Good. We'll be sending observers to ensure compliance. Try anything and the response will be immediate. I understand. Krathnor paused. May I ask a question, General? Go ahead. Will you expand beyond the 12 systems? Will you conquer again? Chen was quiet for a long moment. Outside the window they could see Earth's rebuilt skyline. New buildings rising from the ashes of the old. Above them, human ships patrolled, ever vigilant. We spent 2,000 years learning to be more than warriors. Chen said finally, learning to be artists, teachers, farmers, parents. We liked it. We liked being peaceful. She looked at Krathnor directly. But you reminded us what we are. What we've always been. Apex predators who temporarily agreed to be prey. That experiment is over, Admiral. We're not going back in the box. So yes, we'll expand. But not as conquerors. As what we should have been from the start. Explorers, traders, protectors. The galaxy will learn the difference between the humans who conquered and the humans who choose cooperation. She smiled, and it was genuine. Almost sad. Unless threatened again. Then the galaxy will remember why they were so afraid of us in the first place. Krathnor left Earth that day, carrying humanity's message to the stars. Behind him, human civilization awakened fully, shrugging off millennia of restraint. Ships launched from hidden bases. Colonies expanded. Technology long restricted now flowed freely. The galaxy watched nervously as humanity returned to the stars. Some species sent ambassadors. Others sent warnings to their neighbors. A few, very few, made the same mistake the Junkar had and dismissed humanity as a threat. They learned quickly. Humanity had been sleeping, resting, waiting. Now they were awake, and the galaxy would never be the same again.